Title: EC wants my custom knee brace. EU: entitled woman, mother SC, spoiled child me. Me okay, so I walk with a cane and have an expensive hinged knee brace. It's a brag if you want to look it up for pricing. They range, but mine is well over $400. If I don't wear it, my knee buckles backwards and I fall on my face. I also use a cane when I walk and have several other health issues. I was at Meijer walking around looking at toys last November for my kids for Christmas. I am very pregnant and my doctor warned me to avoid stress and that the baby will probably be a month early. So I'm taking it easy, walking slow, taking breaks and relaxing often. I get to the toy cars and am looking through them, looking for ones my kid doesn't have for sticking stuffers when I feel something touch my leg. I look behind me and SC looks up and smiles at me. I smile back and the following happens me. Hello, it's not polite to touch other people's things. Can you not touch my brace please? Thank you. SC, but I want it. Give it to me. Me, no, I can't walk without it. You can't have it. And it's not your size anyway. It's made for an adult. SC, I don't care, give it to me or I'll tell my mommy. Me, okay, that's fine. You can tell your mom you cannot have it, sweetheart. At this point the kid wanders away and I assume that when the kid says they wanted my knee brace they'd get in trouble. I can remembering wondering how that convo would go for that child and parent. I start picking through the cars and find a couple my son doesn't have and put them in my cart and start looking at the track sets they have and check their pricing against Amazon's pricing. I'm scrolling through my phone when I can feel and hear the Velcro being pulled apart on my brace. I pull my leg up and turn around and see the kid sitting there. Me, excuse me, I told you no. You cannot have or touch my brace. SC, mom said I could just take it because you're faking. Me, I'm not faking anything, you need to go back to your mom now. SC, why. The kid is crying, shrieking and causing a huge scene, screaming for their mother and grabbing at my brace, which is making me unbalanced. I can feel my heart rate going up and am starting to worry about falling and hurting my baby. What's the problem here? Me, your child is asking for my brace. I told them no and they tried to take it off of me. Well, just give it to him then. I don't see what the big deal is, you can buy another. Me, my insurance only covers new every 5 years. I can't get another one. If your son wants a knee brace you need to tell him he can't have mine. Well, he can have yours. Take it off and give it to me. The steps forward and bends over and starts to try to undo my brace. I kick her in the chest away from me and she falls on her butt. It wasn't a hard kick since it was my bad side, but enough to know I mean business. Me, no. Help. Don't touch me. UKICKDD me. You kicked me, someone call the police. I will have you arrested for this. Now a crowd is forming and I'm crying and my brace is half undone around my leg and sagging, giving zero support. I pull my cane out of the cart and use it to support myself while management is asking if I'm okay and I'm nodding while is shrieking still at everyone. They walk me to the shoe department to separate us and I sit on a bench and calm down. The next thing I know a cop is asking me for my brace I stole. I explained I didn't steal it, that it's mine and some woman and her child were trying to steal it off my leg. The officer asks for proof it's mine, so I pull up recent photos of me getting it fitted and walking with it at the doctor's office. As well as my chart where I have the letter stored saying insurance would cover it completely. He asked me to take it off since she's claiming it's damaged so he can inspect it. I let him and he informs me that there's a piece missing. I look at it and sure enough a piece is missing. I start to cry again and realize I've broken my brace and I won't get another for 5 years. He asks if it was broken before I said no, it must have broken when I kicked off me while she was trying to steal it. The officer excuses himself and I'm sitting there with employees. After a while he comes back and gives me a case number and informs me he's arresting the for destruction of medical equipment and attacking a disabled person. I'm in shock, but he says he watched the security camera and knows I'm telling the truth and that she attacked me and I defended myself. I ended up going into labor that night from the stress and had to stay on IV drip for 3 days in the hospital to get it to stop. I go home and my insurance billed her for a new brace. She refused to pay until my friend used his letterhead at a lawyer's office to inform her if she didn't pay that he would be taking her to court for it. Title: Entitled Grandmother Tries to Go into Backstage of Broadway Theater because she's a grandmother. This was around a year ago, back when Broadway was open. I went with my father to New York to celebrate my high school graduation. We watched a Broadway musical and went to the stage door to get some autographs. So we waited a bit, maybe 5 or so minutes, for actors and actresses to come out if they wanted to. Finally, a stage door manager, I think he called himself, let's say Zach, came out and began talking to the people in the crowd to keep everyone happy as we wait to see if anyone's coming. I was fortunate to get a spot in front of the barrier, so I start feeling people squish beside me and light commotion from the crowd behind me. I look back and see entitled grandmother, e.g., attempt to push her and her granddaughter through the crowd. She's old, so she stops halfway and calls for Zach's attention. It starts off pretty light with e.g. asking where the performers are and when they'll come out. Zach explains that he doesn't know when they'll come out or if they will want to at all. Stage doors are completely optional for performers and it's around 8 p.m. so it's entirely possible that no one comes out. This sends e.g. into entitled mode. E.g., can you tell them to come out now? My granddaughter wants to see them. Zach, coming out for stage door is up to them. I can't force them to do anything. Please wait a moment like everyone else. E.g., I've been waiting here for 5 minutes. I'm a grandmother, I can't stand here all night. I have kids. While this is all going down, her granddaughter, maybe 13 or 14, is clearly uncomfortable and apologizing for her grandmother's actions while she's dragged to the front of the barrier. This was a year ago, so I don't remember the specific rant e.g. went on, but she basically continued trying to get Zach to force the performers out. E.g., then can't we come inside? I'm an old lady, I shouldn't have to wait this long. Zach, we can't do that. You don't have any special privileges over everyone else waiting here. E.g., I'm a grandmother. Isn't that enough? This back and forth continues for a while until Zach inevitably starts to plain ignore her and focus on other people in the crowd. With that, someone near her begins to poke fun at her "I'm a grandmother" line. Random teen, I'm a 15-year-old boy, I shouldn't have to wait this long. I can have kids someday. Everyone laughs, including a small chuckle from Zach. Title: My Entitled Dad and the Horrific Night. So I'm pissed. Like real pissed. So pissed that I came back here. Yesterday wasn't great for me, and today wasn't exactly any better. What a better place to go than, well, here? Story 1, Antidepressants and Spying. Recently I've been having some doctor's appointments for my antidepressants. I don't tell my dad about it because of how he acts towards the idea of me taking them to be happy. He believes I should go outside and get a fucking job rather than relying on those shitty drugs. I'm 18 at the moment, almost 19, and COVID stopped me from getting a job, so I'm currently still living with both my parents. Unlike my dad, my mum was the one who set me up with the appointment so I could get my drugs sorted out. My dad knew nothing about this, for the best. It was just my mum and I. Due to me being a student still, I'm allowed free antidepressants until I'm out of college, so I feel very lucky in this regard. Unsurprisingly, my dad doesn't believe that. Yesterday evening, Saturday evening if you're reading this past today, I was having a proper conversation with my mum about my appointment and what will happen. We told my siblings to not listen in and leave us in private, as it was an important convo. My dad decided he should listen in to our convo. It's lucky he's a big guy, so we easily heard him coming. We went quiet, my mum quietly doing the dishes and me looking at my phone. He glared at me and said, "Carry on with what you were saying, don't mind me," before proceeding to stand there silently, with his arms folded. He looked like a pouting child. I slunk past and went upstairs, and I could hear him talking to my mum about hiding things from him. I'm the man of the house, I make the most pay, he doesn't, my mum does, I deserve to know everything. We didn't tell him. Story 2, the fire alarm. We have a faulty fire alarm in our house. It'll sometimes go off completely at random, even if there's no smoke detected. It's a pain due to how loud it is, and the randomness has startled me too many times. Yesterday the fire alarm decided it was going to go off again. My mum and brother were busy upstairs, so I was in charge with turning it off. Issue was? I didn't know how. This fire alarm has a tiny red button on the side, one you can't see if the hallway is dark unless you knew where it was. I didn't know because, unsurprisingly, he never told me. He began screaming at me to push the big red button on the side, when I couldn't see a red button. It was just bleeping in my face, and I felt kinda nauseous with all the noise and shouting. My brother eventually came down and turned it off, and to make things better decided to show me where the button was. I could feel my dad glaring at me from the living room, murmuring about how I'm meant to be the smart kid. This wasn't a fire alarm we've had for years. It was brand new. Story 3, the dog's barking at you because you hit it. We have a small King Charles Spaniel called Daisy, who has some general issues. She's very hard of hearing, and tends to bark at any small noise she heard. She also has a hatred for anyone new, you have to have a strong trust with her to be near her. Now I was walking down the stairs this morning, sadly the time when it happened, and I hear a yelp followed by barking and shouting. I peek in to see Daisy cowering in fear as my dad's trying, heavy emphasis on trying, to get up. I scoop Daisy up off the sofa and leave, completely ignoring what he began shouting. I eventually spoke to my mum about this, and she told me, he hit the dog and she began barking. After prodding further I realized he hit the dog because she was bugging him slightly for cuddles or growling lightly at him. I checked Daisy carefully and there was luckily no major injury, but that didn't mean I wasn't pissed off. I didn't confront him, God I wish I did, but rather kept Daisy upstairs with me, away from further harm. She seemed to appreciate that. The fact that this man believes it's his right to hit dogs because they annoyed him slightly, is beyond me. These are just 3 of many stories about how much of an asshole he is.